It is a Football Friday here on Birds 365. You got a well-lit Jody McDonald, a well-lit John McMullen, and coming to us from the dark, Mike Gill from 97.3 ESPN down the shore. Gill, it's bright outside wherever you are. I guess that's down the shore somewhere, my friend. It's good. You can't tell that you're almost as ugly as me and McMullen.
I tried, guys. I knew who I was coming on with. I knew my audience today. So
you knew your compatriots. Very good.
Mike, it's good to see you.
I felt like it was be bright out here. I'm outside on the porch. I'm having my coffee, man. Come on.
Yeah, it's early. We understand. West Virginia. There we go. He gets it in early.
That's a Kevin Kincaid for you, buddy.
Yeah.
Very nice.
We always got. All right. Early impressions, Mike. Philadelphia Eagles. What have you been hearing from the fan base? Are they excited? Are they juiced up? We got the Eagles the Phillies making a run here in August, so they're kind of relevant. First open practice. What are we going to see there? Are we going to see 40,000 people electric, or is everybody saying, I don't know about this team?
Well, I will preface this by saying, guys, that I have been higher on this team than most. I feel like if you have a good offensive line, and as long as their line is healthy, they should have a very good offensive line. So with that, you can compete. I don't know that competing means you win 11 games, but I have been higher on the team than most. That said, the encouraging sign so far is that the offensive line is pretty good. 1, 2, I do feel, guys, that people are starting to be a little bit more like, I think the Steven Nelson signing, whether he changes things or not, it goes back to, if you did not have Nelson, you just couldn't compete week in and week out. You can at least compete. Now, if somebody gets hurt, injuries happen, competing in a game means in the NFL, they're all one-score games for the most part. One thing goes your way. One thing happens. Somebody surprises. Again, are you going to win 11 games because you competed in 17 of them? No, but they should be way more competitive, and I'm certainly starting to feel that people are feeling that way. Now, I'm sure it helps that you have 48 beat reporters tweeting every play that gets people excited.
You shouldn't do that, by the way. Beat reporters should not do that. Twitter does not pay us. Stop doing that. That's my PSA.
Okay, well, it certainly, I think, shapes people's thoughts of, hey, this guy apparently, Davion Taylor is going to be Lawrence Taylor all of a sudden.
He was looking good until he got injured. So that's a positive sign. Zach McPherson has hit the ground running. But you're right, Mike. I mean, a training camp, you have the up and downs. Jalen Reagor had been down yesterday, had a huge catch. I don't know if you guys saw it. The Eagles put it on Twitter, just like an OBJ one-handed stab. So there are a lot of positive signs, but until we see the Pittsburgh Steelers, the New York Jets, New England Patriots, and see how they measure up against somebody else, it's going to be more difficult. Nick Sirianni, I got to get your impressions there. 75-minute practices, bang, we're done. Maybe he goes to 90 minutes. We start looking at our watch and saying, what the heck's going on here? We got to get off the field. Do you think you can get your work done, or is this just a modern NFL?
Oh, yeah. First off, I was not a Peterson hater by any stretch. I didn't think he deserved or needed to be fired, but I definitely think in the early stages here, I was intrigued by seeing a younger crew and seeing how they adapt to this new, athlete or whatever it is. I like what's going on. I mean, everything that I hear and read makes me feel like they're connecting with these players. I coach as well, and I had a practice. Sometimes we have these 2-3.5 hour practices. You feel like you're losing guys. Last night I had a practice after about an hour and 10 minutes. I said, all right, I'm ready to go. I think we got enough accomplished. Like, I think if you do it right, and it seems like they're just getting a lot in real quick, boom, 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 that is kind of the world we live in, right? Like I made a joke last night after an hour and 10 minutes. Everybody, I said, whoever invented this ADD thing, that guy needs to be, something should happen to him because that's everything. Like, so I don't see why it would be different for 53 guys or 90 guys competing for an NFL spot. They too lose focus and start to drift. So get the most out of them while they're focusing the most.
By the way, Jody, before you chime in, I want to get this in to Mike real quick. You're not going to make me start calling you coach, are you, Mike?
No, Jason Garrett, call me coach, boys, from me. Although Garrett, I said for years, the Cowboys had the best talent and just down here we have the ACJFL, the Junior Football League. I said, and they have a junior league coach, and that's why that team, he is horrible. And for him to say that yesterday, it's not like he's got 8 Super Bowl rings on his fingers, like, call me coach. I mean, come on. That's Garrett for you.
If you're a coach, you're a coach. So, Coach, let me ask you. Another Sirianni question. He was asked again yesterday if he's ready to name Jalen Hurts as the starting quarterback of this team, and his response was, we're not there yet. So, in other words, Wednesday of next week, right? Are we going to wait till they line up on the field for the national anthem on Thursday next week against the Steelers and have to wait till Jalen Hurts walks out onto the field to find out he's the starting quarterback? I got it. I understood. Coach, you did a nice job. You were all about competition. You wanted everybody to compete, even though Gill and McDonald and McMullen rolled their eyes. Yeah, Fletcher Cox is competing. Yeah, right. I get it. And it was a good stance to take.
Yeah.
Isn't it time to give that up? Isn't it time to go, yeah, Jalen Hurts is our starting quarterback?
So, Jody, I'm not sure that either one of you guys watched The Bachelorette, but I made this reference.
Coach.
That's a big no. It's a big no.
All right. Well, I made this reference on my show yesterday, which was, there's a portion of the show where they're down to like the last 3 guys, and the guy, in his mind, he's in love with this woman, and he thinks that she's in love with him. He tells her, but she's still playing the game, right? She says, that's great. He's like, I'm falling in love with you. That's great. Couldn't it be that Sirianni, like, she's trying to give him all the clues, like, you're making it to next week, you're going to get the rose. He's like, I don't care about the rose. I want to hear it from your mouth. Like, I want you to tell me you love me too. Has Sirianni given him all the clues behind closed doors and said, listen, I have to keep going out there. I have to keep saying this to portray that there is this competition. But in the end, you're the guy who's going to get my love. Could that be the case?
Well, behind closed, it's not behind closed doors. Okay. So day 8, I've been at 8 practices, Mike. Every single first team rep has been Jalen Hurts. Yeah. Not an equipment malfunction. He didn't come off the field to tie his shoes. Every single first team rep has been Jalen Hurts. So it's not even behind the scenes. It's overt. He's the starting quarterback of this team unless, and then we get into the Deshaun Watson rumors. Now, personally, I don't think that's why Nick Sirianni won't name him the starter. I think it is more of what Jody said, in that he's just not a proven guy. He's not a Fletcher Cox. He's not a Brandon Graham. He's not a Jason Kelsey. He's not a Brandon Brooks. He hasn't done anything in this league yet, so he doesn't feel it's necessary to decree he's a starter. But other people are putting 2 and 2 together and saying, oh, they're not doing it because Deshaun's coming. What's your standpoint from that part of this?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there was a wonky tweet at about 11 o'clock the other night that suggested things were heating up here. And then the very next day, which was refuted pretty much all over the place, like, that's not the case. They're making calls. I think, John, you actually had a thread, made a call yourself, doing some due diligence, which is obviously needed in this situation, because I think everyone's connecting the dots. You have an unproven quarterback who's played 4 games and an army chest of draft picks that obviously connects you, plus a guy who makes every call all the time. Boom. All right, you're going to be involved, and I don't doubt that they are. That being said, the coach had the opportunity when asked. It wasn't, hey, you hear a lot about this quarterback. It's, how come you're not naming him the number 1? We're not there yet. That's where it just keeps this cloud over top, and it just adds fuel to the fire. That being said, I don't know how, with all of this going on, you can realistically pull the trigger on a deal. Now, if you're getting it for, half off, maybe you think about it, but you can't give full value worth of trade to retain a player who has allegations of 22 sexual abuse claims against him. And the league has suspended players, Zeke Elliott, 6 games for being accused, but not getting in trouble for it. Here's the rub for me, guys. Watson doesn't have to give his deposition until after the season's over. So how does the league play that? Like, do they suspend him? And what if this all goes away? But it's a really tricky situation for all parties involved. So that's where I think the Eagles are going to constantly be connected, because who knows if he's going to be suspended until after that, before that deposition.
Right, and that's why. And I don't know Chris Trapasso. He was supposed to be on with us today and had to reschedule last minute family thing. So we wanted to talk to him today, and sorry we weren't able to get him on. I read his stuff a lot. I don't think he just makes stuff up out of whole cloth. So I think there was something to it. Could he have overstated it a little bit? Yeah. I'm sure the Eagles are talking to him. I'm sure Denver's talking to him. I'm sure there's 5 or 6 teams that put an occasional call into Houston and go, hey, any new info? Do we want to engage in this again? So I'm not going to dismiss it, but I'm not going to put too much emphasis on it either. The question is, how does Jalen Hurts handle it? He seems to be pretty cool under fire. That's what everyone says about him, that he's a leader and the guys like him and that he's focused. And he's kind of the opposite of the previous quarterback here with this team who let stuff get inside his head. Should we just accept that Jalen Hurts is this strong-willed and it isn't going to eat at him the way that it did the previous Eagles starting quarterback?
Oh, I think so. And I think that's what should be exciting about what you're going to get a chance to see this year is you have a guy, you had Wentz in that whole situation. They drafted Hurts, and whether he got his feelings hurt or not, most people's belief is that Wentz is a little sensitive to the outside noise. The whole Foles thing that's going on now, should they bring him back? Well, you can't bring Foles here because it might ruffle the feathers of the current guy. Aaron Rodgers has love there. He went out and was the MVP of the league. I think Hurts has more of a personality of that. You want to bring in somebody, you want to bring in the noise, that's fine. This is all this guy is known. Alabama, we need someone else. All right, I'll go to Oklahoma. I'll play there. Now, is he going to have the same success? I can't guarantee that. But I don't think all the noise is something that bothers him. I think, if anything, it probably is something that he's smiling behind closed doors and saying, all right, everybody keeps always trying to push me out. At some point, does that get to you? Maybe. I think every individual person's different. Obviously, Rodgers different from Wentz. And now Hurts different from both of them, where this noise is not going to go away until a decision is either made on Watson's future or someone else pulls the trigger on that deal. And Hurts is going to have to continue to deal with that, guys, right?
Yeah. And I think he's uniquely qualified to do it because of what went on at Alabama. He is very thick-skinned. He calls it rat poison. I think Nick Saban taught him well to stay away from that. I do want to go back to Nick Sirianni's press conference, though, because he kind of said something that was counterintuitive to me, and I want to run it by you, Mike. And the fact that he was talking about distractions. Everybody's got to deal with distraction. He was talking about Jalen Hurts and Deshaun Watson. Can't say the name, but you got to deal with it. Other people, Jalen Reagor had to deal with some off-the-field stuff happening to him. Everybody's got something going on in their life. But then I'm thinking to myself, Nick Sirianni, take your own advice. You're creating your own distraction by not naming Jalen Hurts the starting quarterback of this team, even though he's taken every single first-team rep. Is that all base, or is he creating a problem for himself as a young coach that he doesn't really need? Because it's obvious to everybody.
Well, is that the distraction, though? To pull the distraction off of all the other distractions and put it on the one where I know that guy can handle it. It's the old, hey, I'm going to be tough on you. Not that I'm being tough on you, but if I show the others that I can be tough on you, that tells them that I can be tough on them as well. So he knows Hurts can handle it, but guess what we haven't heard about? What's Zach Ertz up to? Is he even in pads? Is he doing anything? I don't know. That distraction is all out the window because of everything else that's diverted. What's going on at the linebacker position, which was so weak last year? Is that upgraded? Are they any better? I haven't heard Anthony Harris's name. Steve Nelson signed. Is he doing anything? I have no idea. All I hear is Deshaun Watson, Hurts, Deshaun Watson, Hurts. So maybe he's created the diversion to take everything off the other players.
Not a bad possibility. I like your line. I like your line of thinking there, Gil. I got no idea whether it's actually his line of thinking, but I like your line of thinking, Michael.
Nobody
Very
does.
good.
I have a question. I have a question for you guys, real quick. If you can, Jeff Kerr had been hosting for you, John, and he's on with me 3 times a week. Okay, I want to get your opinion on this because we had a little disagreement with the whole answer that you asked Fulgham about McMullen, which was, he gave the answer we all expected. Alshon came back, boom. Who do you think is the genesis?
Whoa. Hold on. What do you mean he gave the answer we all expected? I didn't expect that.
What'd you expect?
I had nothing to do with it. It had nothing to do with me. He didn't take any of the. Well, don't look at me. Look at Alshon. I thought that was pretty weak.
Yeah, well, he did. A little bit later, he kind of said, yeah, I had to improve as a practice player, and he has improved. It was sort of a cocktail of things with Travis Fulgham. One, I think people think he got benched when Alshon came back. I went back and looked at it. He had the great month where he just exploded. And then the 2 games after that, he played almost the entire game. And then he played about 88% of the snaps. And in the combined 2 games, had 2 receptions for 16 yards. So people were adjusting to him. I know the Giants were that first game. They put Bradbury on him. He just completely shut him down.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like he was playing well. And people assume, Alshon came back and they just benched him when he was playing at this great level. That part of it's not true.
Right. Both
Aaron Moorhead and Doug Peterson said, look, the practice habits aren't there on a consistent basis. That was part of it. It was a little strange, but
all right. Well, my question and the difference that we had was, who made that call? Was that Doug Peterson saying, I'm loyal to my guy, you're not practicing well? Or did Howie Roseman say, you got to play the guy who's making more money?
That was a Doug decision. Doug loves loved Alshon Jeffrey.
I said, if anything, guys, Roseman's saying, you have to play Fulgham. I found this guy. I'm getting roasted out there because of my drafting. I found this undrafted guy. Get him out there, right?
Doug is incredibly loyal to his guys who got him to where he was, both the coaching staff and the players, probably to a fault. Obviously, he pushed for Press Taylor last year. That was never going to work with Jeffrey Lurie. It's one of the major reasons he's not here. He never wanted to fire Mike Rowe. He never wanted to fire Carson Walsh. He is extremely, extremely loyal to his guys, and Alshon was one of those guys. I can tell you how many times he told me behind the scenes, when it came to the passing game, he would always says, game planning starts with 86, Zach Ertz, and 17, Alshon Jeffrey. Had tremendous respect for him. And by the way, I think people forget how good Alshon was when he got here during the Super Bowl season, and he played through the shoulder injury. It ended badly. But, that was a Doug decision. Completely loyal to him.
I believe you, everything you said, John, but if you don't think Howie was leaning toward, I was the guy who extended Alshon.
Yeah.
Maybe a little prematurely as well.
Oh,
I
definitely.
gave him a whole bunch of money.
No.
Little whispers in the coach's ear.
I
think you're both kidding yourself. I think eventually it's Doug's call, and I think Doug would have gone there anyway. Yeah. But if you don't think Howie kept Doug abreast of Alshon's contract status and the fact that he extended him, I think you're both kidding yourself.
I think at the end of last season, Doug said, you know what? F it. I'm tired of this. And he did what he wanted.
True.
At the very end of last season.
I believe that.
Yeah, he said,
and you know what, guys?
Yeah. I think Doug went rogue at the end of his last season here, and he was just tired of it. He was tired of
So let me ask you both. Sudfeld was all Doug?
I've always said that.
Okay.
Doug did what he wanted to do over the final month. Over the final month of that season, Doug went rogue. Doug just said
that one I'm a little different on. That one I think was a collaborative effort of because Doug,
you know why
Doug got fired immediatly. If Doug got fired immediately after the season, like for going, he didn't get fired until a couple of weeks.
Jeffrey wanted to play, but you know how I know it was Doug's decision. Jalen told me after the game, Jalen Ertz, he was told he was getting pulled before the game started. He was told, he was upset about it. But
could have been a collaborative effort that happened in meetings during the week of, listen, we are going to play you for a half.
What I just said, and this is going to upset people, but what I just said about Alshon Jeffrey, he wanted, and I made the joke, and I'll probably get in trouble, but I'm going to make the joke again. I felt bad for Nate because everybody treated him like he was a Make-A-Wish kid, like he was not an NFL quarterback, like he was sending somebody out there. Doug loved Nate Sudfeld and wanted to give him a small opportunity to show what he could do. Unfortunately, he got a small opportunity to show what he could do from Nate's standpoint. He loved him. He wanted to give him
landed in San Francisco, where he's going to get cut before the season starts. So,
and it also got the Eagles Devonta Smith and an extra pick. So thank you, Nate.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you got a point there. All right. I think you both have referenced Zach Ertz of late. It seems as if Zach Ertz is not only going to be on the Philadelphia Eagles week 1, but is going to be prominently used by the Philadelphia Eagles week 1.
I wouldn't be so sure. Inside out. Shorts are still inside out. That is a silent protest.
So are you suggesting, McMullen, he's going to walk away? He's going to retire?
No, he wants to.
Well, then let me repeat myself and see if you can refute it. Zach Ertz will be in the lineup week 1 for the Philadelphia Eagles, and he will be prominently used, as in a minimum of 6 balls thrown his way. Do you want to take the other side of that?
No, I will say, and I'll let Mike chime in. I will say that Nick Sirianni would like Zach Ertz to be here and be prominently displayed in his offense after getting 8 days to look at his receivers. Mike, chime in.
This is a tough one because how do you balance the two guys unless, who gets squeezed out? And it's not like you're right. The receiving core, I mean, if you're going to play Rieger and Smith, it's not like you say, I have to play Ward or I have to play Fulgham. You could go with more 12. But if you were under the impression that at some point this offseason, I'm starting this team and I'm going with Goddard, and now all of a sudden that has changed, he's got to now shift the focus of his offense. Now, he said the other day, we throw the ball to the tight ends a lot. You guys see this. We throw tight end. Great. I just hope it's not a case where, like the Fulgham, hey, we're going to play the veteran guy, and that means Goddard squeezed out a little bit because I think Goddard is a more dynamic player at this stage of his career. So I am quite intrigued how they are going to kind of I don't want to say on the fly because, I mean, they've had a month or so now to kind of realize, I guess we're not trading him, how they're going to incorporate both those guys and who gets squeezed out.
Now, I get it. If, let's say, I don't know, how about that other Kelsey guy? He's not a bad player. Kansas City's tight end. Let's say he goes down and the Chiefs are making a play for the Super Bowl and they know their offense is predicated on throwing the ball to a tight end. Well, then, I think Andy Reid picks up the phone and gets Howie Roseman on the line and goes, what are you looking for Ertz? Yes, I readily admit there is a possibility that Ertz could get traded. But to Howie's credit, and sometimes that's difficult to say, he set the bar as to what he wanted in exchange for Zach Ertz. He wasn't going to just give him away. I don't think that bar has moved. As a matter of fact, as Zach Ertz continues to play well in camp and the coach starts warming up to 12 personnel, if anything, the bar is lifted. That Howie Roseman will be asking for more in exchange for Zach Ertz. That's why I say Zach Ertz is staying.
The other wrinkle, guys, would be if Ertz is a big reason why the team is surprising, and let's say they're around the trade and the team is 6-2, then do you say, I'll trade him anyway?
Don't get nuts on us here, Gill. Remember, this is being taped. Eagles 6-2. You said it out loud, and it is on tape.
That's the other end of Bob Groats is 0-9, by the way.
Right. All things are in play here. And if Ertz is a part of the reason why this team has become a surprise, do you then trade him if you get better value than you had anticipated?
Yeah, I think he's going for the Sam Bradford sort of route. And as Jody said, he's not hoping, but if it pops up somewhere where a contender loses a tight end, as you just kind of said with Kansas City, at that point, you got to seriously consider it, especially if you can get a day 2 pick. Somebody thinks, okay, we're a Super Bowl contender. Let's overpay like the Vikings did for Sam Bradford. Obviously, more valuable position, but that's what he's hoping for. And if not, he's probably going to be here unhappily and play out his contract. So, but now, Nick Sirianni is real quick, Mike, and then chime on this. Nick Sirianni has gone down Doug Peterson's same route because Doug Peterson every year would say, behind the scenes, we got to get more speed on the field. We got to get more receivers on the field. Then he would get on the practice field. He would see his receivers. No, I'm going to play Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz because I got good tight ends. Nick is coming to that same come to Jesus moment. He realizes Zach Ertz is better than Travis Fulgham, Greg Ward, Quez Watkins, you name it. He's better. So
well, you're right, because when he looks at his wide receiver room, he says, there's nobody here that warrants me taking the other tight end off the field. So if that's the case, I'm just going to go down that road, much like, my predecessor had to do, whether he wanted to, he probably had to more than he wanted to, right? I mean, so he's in the same kind of boat. I just hope he doesn't do the Chip Kelly and hold up 3 fingers and put 3 tight ends out in the field.
All right, I'm going to give you a lifeline here, Gill, and I'll allow you to step back just a couple of strides. I know you were talking hypothetical, Eagles off to a 6-2 start. I'll now ask you, and everybody's got to listen to Mike Dowd on 97.3 down the shore, and the only thing that matters is his prediction come the Friday before the season starts. You don't even have to give us the whole record. Just go halfway like you did. What are the Eagles going to be after 8 games this year?
Oh, man. I mean, like I said, I think the team is going to be better than most people give them credit for. But that being said, that might not happen until, they kind of get this thing in motion. I would probably say somewhere like...
And, by the way, second half schedule, all the divisional games, a lot easier than the first half of the schedule.
Correct. That's why I figure they'll probably be in that 3-5, 4-4 range early in the season. Again, I think with this line, and I don't know, John, you could, the whole Dillard thing. I mean, apparently he's back in the Hall of Fame. He was in the Hall of Fame, and then he was not, and now
Mailata's in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, that's right, Mailata, not Dillard. I'm sorry.
He's back in the Hall of Fame.
And apparently he has been outstanding. In fact, Adam Kaplan was on with me yesterday and said, if I had to rank all the guys in camp, he'd probably be number 1.
No, Adam's wrong. Josh Sweat is number 1.
Well, if you put Mailata at 1 and Sweat at 1A, and I got Graham Hargrave, who I've heard great things about, Fletcher Cox, I have a pretty good defensive line. I've got a very good offensive line.
Yeah.
Teams with good defensive lines and offensive lines are typically good teams.
That's very true. Very true.
And that could lend itself. If they go 4-4, they could win 10 games. Because I think if they go 4-4 against the first half of the schedule, they can go 6-2 against the second half of the schedule.
And Josh Sweat boat raced Jordan Mailata yesterday. So Josh has got the advantage. But all right, last one from me, Mike. This is going to be a callback for you, as we do in the industry. You got one rose. Who's your camp crush? Who are you giving it to? Give somebody the rose.
All right. I will go with, well, it would have been Davion Taylor, but he's not here.
Yeah, that's a good one.
He left the show. All right. So I will go with, I know you just mentioned him. I'm going to go with Quez Watkins, and this is why.
That's a good one. My
reasoning for Quez Watkins is I feel like Doug did a terrible job of using these guys. Rieger, Watkins is your slot, jet sweep, bubble screen. That's who he is. And every once in a while, slot straight down the field. I think Sirianni will utilize his skill set in a much better way. Not huge numbers, not eye-popping catches, not volume, but big plays. So Quez Watkins, will you accept my rose?
MG, we accept your rose, and we accept the fact that you came on in short notice and quick turnaround. Thanks for getting up early with us, buddy. We'll be in touch and give you a chance. Oh, if the Eagles are 6-2, you're going to have to host for a week, because I will just step down and say, yeah, I didn't see 6-2 coming. Gill did, so we'll give you the big stage. Thanks for coming on today, bud.
No problem, guys. See ya.
Mike Gill, 97.3 down the shore here with us on Birds 365. All right, quickie timeout. I want to further the conversation with my partner here about Zach Ertz and the way that this entire situation is unfolded from the end of last year up until where we sit now, on who's handled it right, who's handled it questionably, and where it is going to go forward from here. He's John McMullen. I'm Jody Mack. You're watching Birds 365.
Today's show on the JAKIB Media channel. Listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.